Hey guys, welcome back to Vertical Momentum. I'm your host, Richard Kaufman, also known as the Comeback Coach. Guys, this is going to be an amazing episode. They say never meet your heroes. That's bullshit. Joe Nicassio has been one of my heroes and mentors for the last 5 years, and I finally had the guts to hire him. And now our business has grown 500% in the last 90 days by using what he's teaching us. Now, this podcast is being brought to you by verticalmomentumpodcast.com, where you can look sexy, get smarter, and get more energy all in one place. So check us out at verticalmomentumpodcast.com. Joe, my brother, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's my honor, and I'm so grateful that you let me hire you and to be my personal coach. And I want to say thank you so much. You've changed my life in the last 90 days. Before we get started with that, my first question is, what is your definition of resiliency?
Resilience is kind of it's part of it is just grit. Okay. Part of it is just this ability to face whatever obstacles you have and keep going. I think resilience is, what doesn't matter in life is how many times you fall down, but what really matters is how many times you get back up, you get in the fight. I'm gonna say something that might polarize some people. I think one of the greatest examples of grit and resilience is Donald Trump. I don't care what your politics are. When he was in office, he had so many haters. And if Richard, I don't know about you, if you had that many haters, if I had that many haters, I wouldn't want to get out of bed in the morning. But, Donald Trump is a guy who's very resilient. He's got like 91 allegations, indictments against him, it's just ridiculous. And yet he's like, gets up and says, bring it on, bring it on. Like, so no matter how many times you get knocked down, you get back up, you stay in the fight. Resilience is about, the life will always try and knock us down, but resilience is about getting back up and maintaining a positive attitude and keep going, keep going, keep going.
I love it. So give us a quick down and dirty about who you are, and how you became the coach that you are today.
Okay, I'm Joe Nicassio. I'm an entrepreneur maker. I'm a profitable business creator. It's actually difficult to give words to what I do because really what I do is I transform businesses, business owners. I'm a business problem solver. So I used to troubleshoot high-tech electronics back in the day. Now I troubleshoot businesses, business owners, and business processes. Everything in your, here's a great lesson, just a starting point, is everything you do in life, in business, if you can codify it into a process, that's wonderful. And once you codify it into a process and break everything down into a step-by-step process, then you can measure things, okay? Once you can measure each piece of the process, then you can actually improve it. So what do? I help my clients identify their client journey. I help them, we look at different areas: client journey, lead generation, lead nurturing, sales, conversion, delivery, retention, resale, upsell. What we do is look at your business as a series of processes, and we say, what's broken? What needs to improve? Is the area that we can make a big difference. And my goal is to help you get more customers, to pay you more money more often. My goal is to help you, look, not just the money, it's about the impact and the influence and the fact that you can make a difference. You can't make a dollar if you can't make a difference. So, we all have gifts, Richard. Richard, you have gifts. You've got a podcast, Vertical Momentum, you're the comeback coach. You teach people resilience, and you can have the greatest podcast in the world, and you're right up there. You're like, you got like 800,000, close to 1 million, downloads of your podcast. But when we start asking the questions about, are you making money and how are you making money? It's like, this is a hobby. I do it for fun. I love putting a great show together. When we started looking at it, we started saying, okay, why aren't you monetizing this, and how can we monetize it? And we turn it around. So I help you monetize your podcast, and I help other people monetize their different businesses. And over the years, I've mentored over 4,000 people in over 400 industries. Most of the clients I work with are already making 300 or 500 or 700,000 a year, and they want to go to 1 or 2 or 5 million. But I also, one of the things that's very close to my heart is helping people start a business from ground zero. I'm the creator of Employee Escape Plan. So I transform employees into entrepreneurs so they never have to go back to that soul sucking job. And so, there's a lot to what I do, and it's hard to kind of compress it into a 30-second soundbite, but that's kind of a starting launching point.
But you're also a student. You've had some amazing mentors and teachers, Jay Abraham, Jim Rohn, so many people that have taught you, and I think that's great when you have somebody that's not only they're a teacher, but they're also a student of the game at the same time.
I'm addicted to learning. I love learning, and I don't just learn from anybody. I think one of the greatest pieces of advice I could give anybody is choose your mentors wisely, because there's a lot of people that are, teaching regurgitated BS. Okay, let's just be straight about it. And then there's really advanced thinkers that really understand the principles and the laws of success. You can't lose by studying Napoleon Hill. You can't lose by studying Jim Rohn. You can't, I've been blessed. I spent over 7 years learning from Jay Abraham. I hired Jay, and then they asked me to keep coming back. And this was a time when I kind of lost everything. And they asked me if I wanted to come to the next event. And I said, I would love to, but, I'm still trying to pay for the first one. And they said, we know, can you barter? And I'm like, what could I do? And they sent me like 30 years of audio recordings of think tank recordings. And they were all sorted by 30 topics. And my job was to listen to them and transcribe them and get the transcriptions back to Jay's office. And all of those transcriptions went in the Jay Abraham Marketing Encyclopedia. So he was kind of my Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. It's like transcribe these audios. And, oh, by the way, you're creating a marketing encyclopedia. It's like, so I could not help but not, I was in an environment where I was forced to learn, paint the fence or wax on, wax off, or, I was doing activities that was giving me a world-class education that honestly, as I look around at other people teaching business and entrepreneurship, I've got something that so many people don't have that experience. And, over 7 years, I got to go to a dozen of his $5,000 events as staff. I got to work in his office side by side. I helped him sell some programs. He was very notorious or adept at getting 5,000, getting 500 people in a room, paying $5,000 per person. And just to be part of that process was phenomenal.
Okay, so now when I asked you to be my coach 90 days ago, I had zero money coming in. I was paying everything out of pocket with a top 0.5% podcast, ranked right up there with Tim Ferris, with Ed Mylett, Gary Vaynerchuk, and I had no money coming in, and I was paying everything out of pocket. And the one question is, you asked me, am I monetizing? And I said, no. And then you asked me, why not? And that's when the whole game started to change. So talk about it when you first started looking over the podcast and you start looking over the financials. What did you see? Because I'm sure most podcasters or business owners are in the same position when they first start a business. There's no money coming in. So talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Jay gifted me with was like this ability to see profits hidden in your business that you don't see. I think you were suffering from something very common. It's called marketing myopia. It's so close to your business tree that you can't see the forest. You're so close to producing a show. Richard, your show's world class. Your show's world class. It's phenomenal. But one of the things you didn't realize, I started asking, where you make money. And it's like, okay, first thing I always focus on is the purpose of a business is to create a customer. And so it's like, who's your customer, Richard? And we started digging a little bit, and we started to realize that, first of all, a podcast is not a product. Okay. It's a distribution channel. And, you had 3 crowds. We started looking at who are your crowds. Okay. Number one, you've got the listeners. How do we monetize that? You can make offers on the show and move people towards your products or other people's products. But one of you're a distribution channel to the listeners, and you can add value to the listeners for free through the podcast. But you could also add value to the listeners through sharing, bright products and services with them. The second distribution channel you have is to the guests. Okay. This is a great value for the guests to be interviewed by Richard Kaufman and be on a top tier podcast. And so we started looking at, is there a way to monetize the guests? So we started looking at, you have the guests on maybe for free, but then if you cut up the clips and give them some nice social media stuff from that, that's another place to monetize. And the third distribution channel you have is, since you're in front of all these people, you have the possibility to have either advertisers or sponsors. And so we started looking at how can you get people to understand and appreciate the value of being in front of 800,000 downloads to your show, moving towards 1 million. That could be valuable to somebody who would sponsor you. It's like, hey, I'll sponsor Richard. I'll sponsor, in exchange for promotion in kind, to make people aware that this show is being sponsored by somebody amazing. And so just recognizing that the podcast itself is not what you're going to monetize, but it's like the purpose of a business is to create a customer, and your podcast is capable of at least 3 different sets of customers built into the podcast. So that's the first thing, is we started to say, discover profits hidden in your business, discover, hidden assets. And I think when you started to become aware of that, to see, what happened is you started letting people know. You put together a nice sponsorship package, and bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, people started paying Richard Kaufman. And how cool is that?
Well, something because we have our talks, bi-weekly, and something we talked about yesterday. Now, when I was looking at my rankings, me and Jordan Harbinger were within one. He was like number 11, and I was number 12. And then we went in and looked at, he had sponsors at Hyundai, McDonald's, Ford, Kia, some of the biggest sponsors in the world. And I'm like, so why shouldn't I be there? So I think a lot of it, you helped me get over the hump with the imposter syndrome. Talk about that, especially with new business owners.
Yeah, imposter syndrome doesn't mean that you're an imposter. It just means you feel like one. Well, first of all, there are real imposters. Okay, there are people that there's the number one determining factor if you're going to get paid big bucks is the perceived value of the buyer. If somebody perceives you as worth $1 million, if I could help bring you $10 million, would you slice off one of those million for me? Okay. So the perceived value of the buyer is really important. Now, the best way to have high perceived value is to have high real value. But here's the kicker. Even though you have high real value, doesn't mean that the other side perceives it. So number one is you need to make sure that you do deliver the high real value, and you have this onus of responsibility to make sure that people understand it, appreciate it, desire it, and they're actually willing to pay for it. And so if somebody perceives you as worth $1 million, they'll pay you $1 million. But even if you bring them 10 million in value, if they perceive you as only worth $100, they're not going to pay you 101. So the best way to have high perceived value is to have high real value. just because value doesn't mean it's perceived. So we need to that we communicate it. Imposter syndrome is really this stupid self-talk that basically says I'm not good enough to get paid. Okay. We're nervous and saying, am I worth it? And and the reason why we have imposter syndrome is because we're selfish. We just think about, what do other people think about me? And if you want to overcome imposter syndrome, you want to shift from being internally focused to externally focused on serving people. And so what you want to do is turn your nervous into service. Don't think about yourself. Think about the people that you're serving and serve them in the biggest way. Now, for you, Richard, I know you serve people in a big way, but there was that little inner voice that said, yeah, but I probably, nobody's going to pay me for it or whatever. And once we address that, you start to realize, hell yeah, I'm giving a lot of value. Hell yeah, I'm making a difference to my sponsors. Hell yeah, I'm making a difference to the audience and the people that listen to these episodes. Hell yes, I'm, the speaker that I'm interviewing at this time. Hell yes, I'm giving them a platform to share their story. Once you start to realize your value for others, then it's about them, and it has, it's not about me, it's about you. It's, as a business coach, it's not about how amazing I am as a coach. It's about transforming your life and your business and helping you get better outcomes. And the moment we shift from what do they think about me in terms of, and shifting it to how can I serve you? How can I be a massive contribution to you? How can I be a massive contribution to improving your conditions? When we get externally focused to being a massive contribution, our value shines through.
And I totally agree. Now, something that I realized that once we started talking 90 days ago, I had to up my game. If I'm going to have sponsors coming aboard, high level guests, I have to make the show look as best as it can. I have to make it sound as best as it can. So I had to do some upgrading with the studio, with audio and video. So, but I think a lot of
and treat it like a business, right?
And a lot of companies, they want to move forward, but they don't want to invest in something that's going to actually make them money. So talk about that, trying to not only, if you're going to ask for more money, like you said, you got to add more value, and you got to do a better job if you're going to ask for more money.
Yeah. And treat it like a business, and gain the expertise that you don't have by hiring people. Look, you were trying to do this on your own, but there was a switch that flipped and said, okay, I'm ready to hire Joe. And you hired Joe. And what did we do? We started looking at your business. You look at your business through the eyes of Richard. You look at your business through the ideas of the eyes of, I'm a podcaster. Okay. But I'm an expert at helping people monetize their business to increase the value that you offer. And so you're looking at your eyes through as a podcaster. My job is to say, Richard is a value creator, and who are the customers that will pay for that value? And we overcomplicate this stuff, but we live in a world of problems, true or false. You can see it by what's happening on the Gaza Strip. We live in a world of problems. Now, there's two kinds of problems: the ones people will pay to solve and the ones they won't pay to solve. Okay. So a lot of times I think we get stuck trying to solve a problem that people won't pay to solve. And yet there are problems that people will pay to solve all day long. So I'm a business coach. Now, will everybody hire a business coach? Absolutely. The truth is a lot of people think they can do it. I'm just going to keep creating great podcasts and the money will follow. No, it doesn't work that way. A lot of people think if they have a restaurant, if I just cook the world-class best food, that people will flock into my restaurant. And it's not true. We call that mousetrap syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard this saying that if you build a better mousetrap, they'll beat a path to your door, but that's not true. If you build a better mousetrap and you don't got good marketing, you end up with a warehouse or a garage full of unsold mousetraps. and that doesn't
Yeah,
serve anyone.
and it's true. If you, like you said, you can have the best podcast, but if nobody gets a chance to hear it, it does no good. That's why I had to hire. After I hired you, I went out and I hired a podcast promoter, a YouTube promoter, iTunes promoter, because I can have the best show, but like you can have the best show, but if it never gets on TV, it's not. Nobody's ever going to see it, and you can't make money from sponsorships if nobody sees your show.
Yeah, I want to be a little vulnerable here, and talk about a mistake I made in my business about a year ago. I switched CRMs to something called Go High Level, and a lot of people have really good luck with Go High Level. Okay, this is really not bashing Go High Level, but I was sending out emails, and the software was telling me they were all getting delivered, but my income started dropping. Okay, and come to find out, all of my stuff was going into the spam folder. Okay. So you can have the best email in the world, but if nobody gets it or nobody reads it, it's terrible. If you could have the best podcast in the world, but if it doesn't find people's ears, so what? What's that saying? If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one to listen, or is it still the man's fault?
Yeah.
You could have the best YouTube video, but it isn't being found by search engines. It's no good. So that's part of it is, you want traffic. Okay. And the truth is you had traffic before you hired me. Okay. You got like over 800,000 views on your website or listens. But there's two parts to making money. There's traffic and there's conversion. Okay. Is it converting? I got this great podcast, 800, close to 1 million people are listening to this podcast, but there's no money. And so it's like we have to start investigating why or why not. And that's what I'm interested in is what makes a human being go, that is so darn valuable. I'm going to pull out my wallet. I'm going to pull out my credit card and I'm going to send some money to Richard Kaufman. Okay. And I'm sure you're glad that you have somebody in your life, Rich, that's asking that question on your behalf, right?
Yeah, but also, you not only coach your business, but you also sent me certain things to watch. Like, I'm listening to Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets again, and something he said earlier, something that you said, but he just reiterated was, that you have to have your stuff be emotional where people are going to want to pull out their credit card to buy from you. And not only that, but the average person that listens, the average American, and because you talked about Trump, that's why I'm bringing it up. When he was running for president, his speeches were at a 4th and 5th grade level. And something Russell Brunson said that, when people read copy, they're reading at a 4th and 5th grade level. So I think that really changed the way I thought about that. I want to, add emotion to my podcast, but also, make it a 4th and 5th grade level so it's easy to digest and not having to digest all these big words where people are just going to go, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. You're bringing up a couple of good points. This is something that can turn into money for everyone. Number one point is, this idea of 4th and 5th grade level. The confused mind buys nothing, okay? But however, if the promise is clear, people will pay the price. If the promise is clear, people will pay the price. So you want to keep it simple for people, but you also want to make it so clear why it's advantageous. So that's one piece. The other thing is this idea of being emotional. And it's number one is, Richard Kaufman can have more emotion in the way he speaks and the animation of how he's animated on camera. But it's not just about how, am I being emotional, but it's really about triggering the emotions in the buyer. I've got a funny story. Okay. Once upon a time, true story. I have a friend that had a business and he really needed my marketing services. He was struggling in his business. And he was like, Joe, I just don't have the money for hiring you, and he never hired me. Okay. But at the same time, what was real interesting is, he loved to go to the strip club and get lap dances. When his TV broke in his bedroom, he had to go buy the biggest big screen TV for his bedroom. So I'm like, this is curious. Like, he doesn't have money for Joe to help him grow his business and grow his income, but he'll spend money on lap dances. He ended up foreclosing on his house. I mean, it was a sinkhole. And so this is a question I asked, and this is a question everybody could ask. How can I get people more emotionally excited about my, spending money with Joe and being a business coach versus, my competition isn't another business coach. My competition is lap dances. So how can I have people desire to spend more money with Joe than lap dances? How can we get people to spend more money with Richard Kaufman and his podcast than spending that money on, the bar or the girls or whatever? Like, that's the kind of emotion we want to trigger in the client. Because if, the reason that people do spend money on the lap dances is because it's emotional. It feels good. I want more of that. So, I'll pull out that dollar. A dollar will make her holler. Okay. So how do I get people to feel? And you know what? I conquered it. And I know how to create those kinds of emotions for any kind of business. And it's a science. And that's one of the reasons people should hire me. If people aren't buying from you, but they're still spending money on stupid things like strip clubs, let me show you how to get them to spend some of that money with you.
Now, something else you taught me was the difference between blue oceans and red oceans. That, a lot of people, when they start a company, they start a t-shirt company, they're going to try to compete with, Old Navy. You're going to try to compete with these other companies. And you're just jumping into the red ocean. But for me, I had to sit back and think, okay, my podcast is more for veterans, first responders. And that's my niche, because I forget who said it. I wish I remember.
Those are your people. Those are your people. That's your tribe.
That the riches are in the niches. And I think it was Alex Hermosi. I think I just heard him say it. So talk about that is, it's better to be in the blue ocean where there's nobody else swimming around but you, and not being in the red ocean where everybody is and everybody is a shark. It's a shark frenzy out there.
Yeah, it's a noisy world. Okay. There's a lot of competition, for your attention. There's a lot of competition for your dollars. And, one of the things my mentor, Jay Abraham, taught me is, one of the things you don't want to be is a commodity. The world tries to commoditize you. I meet people and they ask, what do you do? And I let them know I'm a business consultant. And it's like, oh, I know somebody just like you. It's like, no, you don't. Like, that's the biggest insult people can give, is like they commoditize you. Oh, you're the same as all these other business consultants. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm a one-of-a-kind, unique proprietary. I do things different. You won't find another business consultant that does things the way I do. Even Jay Abraham is brilliant. One of the things that I do maybe better than Jay is get people to implement those Jay Abraham concepts. So, if you're a commodity, you're in the red ocean. Okay. But when you can carve out your uniqueness, you can stand out from the crowd. It's nice, just being in the marketplace, you can be a commodity. You can make some money that way. If you put a t-shirt stand up at the farmer's market in your local town, you'll sell a few t-shirts. But, do you want to be one of many? Now, you could be a vendor, or another step up would be to be a preferred vendor. It's like there's a lot of people that, there's a lot of business coaches out there, but I prefer Joe Nicassio. I could be a guest on many podcasts, but I prefer to be on Richard Kaufman's podcast. So that's a step up from commodity. But the ultimate place you want to be is, a market of one. I got to get on Richard Kaufman's show, or I got to work with Joe Nicassio. There's a lot of business consultants out there, but I don't want any consultant. I want Joe specifically. And that's what we want to do, is discover that thing that's called the point of onlyness. He's the only person I want to work with. That's the only product I want to buy. And what happens then is you're completely blue ocean. You're in a marketplace of, you eliminate all other choices. And so there's ways we can do this. You can do it through bonuses. There's a lot of sports magazines out there, but only one sports magazine has this bonus called the swimsuit edition. I think a lot of men don't buy Sports Illustrated because they want a sports magazine. I think they want the girls. Okay. So you can do it by bonuses. You can do it by do you have a unique result for people? Another way you can do it is through a unique mechanism. I have a unique way, a proprietary way to get the result. It's new, it's different, it's superior than the other ways to get the result. And a lot of people are tired. It's like, I tried this and it didn't work, and I tried that and didn't work. But now if somebody comes along, it's like, well, I have a superior way to get you the result that you've never tried before. Now what happens is you open up this gateway called hope. Finally, somebody gets my problem. Finally, I can, finally I can get the result and the outcome that I've always wanted, but nobody else could deliver. So I think the biggest thing to move you from red ocean to blue ocean is owning your unique value and not allowing the world to turn you into a commodity, but fighting with every fiber of your existence to be a one-of-a-kind, unique, proprietary, and different than every other player. And if you can demonstrate that you're different, if you can demonstrate I have a different and better way to get you the result, and I can guarantee that result, I can give you that better outcome, that's how you get out of that bloody red ocean and you're in the clean waters of blue ocean, and life gets a lot better when you have a program that really works and gets people the results, and it really helps you stand out from the rest of the crowd.
Yep. And something, I want to talk about, because once we started talking and taking a deep dive into business, I used to DVR everything, and I would fast forward through all the commercials. But now I'm actually watching the commercials to seeing what's working, what's not working, and even on Facebook or social media. And I find that the posts that have click this or click this or click this or click this 3 or 4 in a row doesn't get any engagement. But the one post that says click here now, because you talked to me about something called the confused mind, and how if a person has too many choices, they're not going to make any choices. So please talk about that a little bit.
Well, again, if the promise is clear, people will pay the price. Okay. I'm launching a new program. We're starting November 1st, with or without you. We're starting this program, and it's about, it's called Entrepreneur Onramp, and it's about, getting your business started. So, you got to act now while it's fresh on your mind. If you snooze, you lose. Take action, and you can participate. If you don't take, if you wait, it might be too late. Okay. And so that is one of the things that drives people, is this sense of urgency. As a business coach, everybody knows that there's a cost to hiring a business coach. There's a cost to being a sponsor on Richard's show. There's a cost to everything. Okay. But, one of the questions we don't ask, there's a cost to hiring a business coach. What's the cost of not having a business coach? Like for you, Richard, you were going along, you were not investing in a business coach. You weren't making any money. And then you hired a business coach. You made an investment. Okay. And things changed for you. But what was the cost if you didn't, hire Joe, bring Joe in? What's the cost of not doing business? Okay. That's a huge thing. And everybody has this, if you're in an auto repair business, there's a cost to getting your car fixed. But what's the cost of not getting your car fixed? And it can be very, very expensive. I'm going to bounce it back to you, Richard. Obviously there's a cost to having a business coach. What's the cost of not getting the help?
Well, first of all, it was draining my bank account. Second of all, it was hurting my relationship with my wife, because she's the one that pays all the bills. So every month when the money was coming out of our account, well, we could either go to Great Wolf Lodge or we can pay for podcast promotion. So it was taking a toll on my relationships. It was taking a toll on my bank account. So now I'm actually next week. I think I'm going to have to change our talk because I'm taking my wife and my daughter and my son to Great Wolf Lodge for a weekend that I couldn't afford before, but now I can because I have a coach that's teaching me, okay, this is how you make money. This is how you bring money in. Now you can enjoy the process. You can enjoy your fruit of your labor instead of just laboring and not having any fruit.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a great point. I know there's a lot of men, a lot of women out there that, oh, I got this business and they're doing things and it's not monetizing. Like when you started bringing in paying sponsors, and covering your costs and bringing more cash into the family. What was the first sign from your wife? What was the first thing, how did you know, how did she respond? Like when the money started coming in, like she was probably thrilled, I'll bet.
Well, it didn't really happen until actually this week when my credit card come bill, because sometimes the credit cards, catch up. Sometimes it takes 30, 60 days. And then when the credit card bill came in, I just said, well, give me the credit card bill. I got this. I'm going to go pay it now. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, we got this. Joe's told me that my sponsors can help pay for it, so I don't have to put the money out of pocket. And I think it gave her a little bit, okay, I could see a little bit of a future now. It's not just a drain. It's not a hobby anymore. Now it's actually
her energy shifted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And this is the thing is, our business isn't just about ourselves. It's about providing for ourselves and providing for the people we love and being stronger in the community, and even the possibility of doing a little philanthropy. If, once we get to a little bit of overflow, we can really help others. And it's wonderful to see that, yes, the money's coming in for the podcast, but it's rippling into good vibes for you and your honey. How sweet is that?
Yeah. And, but also like something that we talked about, I have over 300 episodes that haven't been released yet. And now I'm getting inundated because our numbers are going up. People want to come on the show. And now I'm like, if you want to come on the show, I'll interview you, but it might be 3-4 months before it comes out. But I have some different levels that if you want to come on the show next week, I can push it forward. But I'm not going to push you in front of John Lee Dumas, Joe Nicassio, the rich dad, poor dad guys, unless you show me a little bit of the money. But before I was afraid to say, all right, I have these options, but now I have an option to where if people want to upgrade, if they want me to, because like anybody that comes on the show now, if I can also upgrade to you where I'll actually do a Facebook ad just for your show, but I'm not doing it for free, right? But it's something that I'm added, which I never thought about adding until now. And I think the most powerful word in business is sometimes no.
Absolutely. Don't let your mouth overwork your spine. Yeah, that's good. So look, I'll interview you. We can interview you. You'll be in the queue. It might be 6 months before it's released, or you can pay a couple $100 and get bumped into the VIP release where you'll get, released in the next 1 to 2 weeks or whatever. Right. That's sweet.
So now let me ask you a question, because you said you got Entrepreneurs Onramp coming up on November 1st. Give us a quick down and dirty about what Entrepreneurs Onramp is.
Well, the name hopefully is descriptive. So I have a program called Business Wisdom Quest. It's about choosing your business wisely, blueprinting your business. If you're going to build a building, you don't start with the roof. A lot of people would say you start with the foundation, but before the foundation, you have a blueprint. So Business Wisdom Quest is a program to help you put together your blueprint, and plan your business wisely. But now that you know what business you're going into, it's like, let's build your business. Let's pour the foundation. Let's get your foundation and fundamentals is kind of the same word. Let's get your basics. So it's a back to basics program. So it's a 12-week program. In the 12 weeks, we're going to help you. Number one is your branding. What do you and your business stand for? Number two, it's about your offer. Let's make sure you've got a good killer offer. Now, if you're in business already, let's make your offer better. Number three thing we work on is your storytelling. You know, these are critical fundamentals for your business. How are you telling the story about your business? You know, how are you promoting to generate leads? How are you nurturing the leads when they come in? These are all things we're going to be working on. How do you fill up your calendar with people that are interested in possibly buying your products or services? You know, so we're going to work on receiving appointments, and we're going to work on receiving clients and money and sales. So most people don't know this about me, but I'm a master sales trainer. I've had so much sales training. I've learned over like 19 different selling systems. Now, you don't need to learn 19 selling systems. What we need to do is find the right selling system for you and your business. And we're going to work on that in the Entrepreneur Onramp. And then we're also going to, you know, work on your delivery, making sure that you deliver on your promises so you can receive repeat business. We're going to be working on helping you get more repeat business. We're going to help you get more referrals. We're going to also help you get more video testimonials. So that's the core program, is this back to basics, these fundamentals. There are some bonuses. Number one is I will be bonusing in that Business Wisdom Quest, Choose Your Business Wisely program. Everybody that signs up for this program will get access to that as a bonus. The other thing we're going to be doing is we're going to really be synchronizing with the seasons. So, you know, we're starting November 1st. So we're going to be talking about a Thanksgiving promotion. Like Thanksgiving's coming up, and now's the time to do gratitude to your clients. You know, maybe it's a sit down dinner, you know, a gratitude dinner for the people that pay you money. Maybe it's just sending out Thanksgiving cards. Maybe it's a Black Friday promo. That's really important this time of the year. We're also going to be helping you get clients by Christmas. I have some campaigns to help you get clients by Christmas to finish the year strong, and ultimately jumpstart your January. Okay. The holidays are they can be a wonky time if you don't know how to negotiate them. But, you know, if you're listening to this right now, I want you to remember, you know, at the end of 2022 and the beginning of 2023, I'll bet you set some goals. And maybe you're crushing your goals, or maybe you're falling short of your goals. But here's what I do know. We only got 2 more months left in this year. We got a November and we got a December, and boom, it's 2024. And no matter if you're crushing your goals or you're falling short on your goals, here's one thing I know about everybody listening to this. You want next year to be better than this year. You know, don't you want next year to be better than this year? And if you want next year to be better than this year, I'm going to challenge you, you know, get on a call with me. You know, let's have a conversation. Let's get you into the Entrepreneur Onramp so that we can work on your business in November, get your fundamentals in place. Let's get you having, you know, a good clients by Christmas and ending the year strong. And let's get your fundamentals so strong and have a program for you to launch in January so you can jumpstart your January and make 2024 your best year ever. And look, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen without effort. That's why I designed this program, and that's why I'm delivering it this time of the year, because now if you want to have a strong 2024, it starts November 1st, and you can try and do it on your own without me, but you know, we're going to be hitting it every week to make sure that you got that support to make sure that next year's strong. Go ahead.
Well, one thing that I love about you is that, even my friend wrote the book, Atomic Habits. James Clear wrote an amazing book, but he talks about getting your first wins quick and then stacking your wins. So I think if you tell somebody I can, you know, increase your business in a year, and if they don't see any kind of wins in the first 30, 60 days, they're not going to stay with the program. They're just going to quit, say, yeah, I got suckered. But you like to start getting the people the wins quick and then stack their wins. So that's something that you really thought about before you put this program together, right?
You know, look, you can try and go at it on your own, but this is a program where anybody that signs up for this, and it'll be a small group of people, maybe a half dozen, 6 to 10, maybe 12 people, but I'm going to pour a lot of expertise into you. We're going to meet multiple times a week, and I'm going to pour a lot of love into you because I want, after 90 days of working together, I want you to go, man, I got my fundamentals in place. I'm talking to people. I'm generating leads every day. I'm getting sales, every week. And my business, Entrepreneur Onramp, we're taking people that are either very slow right now or people that are even at a dead stop. And when you put all those fundamentals and basics, in place, it doesn't take 300 things to make a fire. It only takes 3 things. It takes fuel, oxygen, and heat. If you have, but if you have all 3, that'll create a fire. It's sufficient. So there's 3 necessary components, but if you only have 2 out of 3, you're never going to have a fire. So there's a distinction between sufficient and necessary. And if but when you have all the components, success is inevitable when you do everything right. Success is inevitable when you have all the basics in place. And that's why I put this program together, is to make sure that you got solid fundamentals, and you'll get those leads every day. And when you play by the, these good fundamentals, you have clients, you have leads every day and clients regularly, maybe every week, and a business that's sustainable. And that's what I think what everybody wants.
So if somebody wants to crush the end of 2023 and go into 2024 with vertical momentum, see what I did there? How do we find you? How do we get in touch with you? How do we find out more about this this course?
Well, there's 2 ways. On the screen is my website, employeeescapeplan.com. If you go to that page, at the very bottom of the page is a scheduler, Calendly. You can get on my schedule. The other is, if you're watching this on social media, just send me a private message and let's start talking, and if it's right for you, I'll let you in. And if it's not right for you, I'll let you know. I do have a philosophy that I don't want, if I can't help you, I don't want your money. I'm really ethical about that, how much does my program cost? Absolutely nothing if it's not right for you. So let's figure out if it's right for you. And if it's not right for you, I'll send you away and I'll let you keep all your money. And if it is right for you, I like to think of my, even though I charge money, it's not an expense, it's a profit center. I'm going to help you get more customers to pay you more money more often. And so for most business people, if they sign up for this program and they get 1 or 2 or 3 extra clients, it's going to be profitable for you. It's not going to cost you for coaching. It may be one of the wisest and best investments you make. So go to employeeescapeplan.com, get on my calendar. If you're on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Nicassio, my last name. That'll get you to my profile. Let's start a conversation. I love helping people grow their businesses. I help loving people start their business. I love emancipating people from their soul-sucking jobs. I hate seeing people fail, and I hate seeing people struggle, and I hate seeing people watch their soul deplete from them in a soul-sucking job. That's why I created Employee Escape Plan. That's why I created the Entrepreneur Onramp. That's why I do the work. It's so fulfilling. I got a client, Nina. She hired me, I don't know, end of last year, and she had 3 jobs, a full-time job and 2 part-times. And she was, people were quitting the company and they were just burdening her more. And she's like, I got to get out. If I don't get out of this job, I'm going to start killing people. Killing's not good. So she hired me and we got her business off the ground, and she made enough money that she was able to leave, she still keeps one of the part-time jobs, but, she's got her own business now. And how cool is that she was in 3 jobs that were stealing her soul. And now she's got her business. She's got her own money coming in. She stopped working for the boss. She became the boss, and she's got a business that works. And it's so fulfilling for me knowing that I took somebody from a bad situation and I empowered her to be a true entrepreneur, winning and, receiving customers in cash.
I love it. And Joe, I want to say thank you. And so guys, I'm living proof that he has improved my business by 500% in less than 90 days. So guys, and if you have any questions, I got no problem showing you what he actually did for me. So I just want to say thank you, Joe. And guys, as you know, I'm a Christian. So is Joe. Something that I always say at the end of every show, Joel Osteen taught me that you can either be the victim or you can be the victor. So guys, if you're tired of being the victim and you want to be the victor in your own circumstances, make sure that you reach out to Joe and get your business so you can start crushing it in 2023, 2024, and actually be able to start doing fun things with your family instead of working all the time on your business instead of in your business. Joe, thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
All right, guys, I love you. Just remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is butt up. Make sure you check us out at verticalmomentumpodcast.com. We got some amazing things coming up, and you'll be able to find this episode so you can share it, download it, and listen to it again. All right, Joe, brother, have an amazing week.
You too.